Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description. All right, so I have some notes in a little note app here, and I just kind of want to go off of those. This was a topic that I thought about 30 seconds ago, so we'll see how I do with it. But in a lot of spiritual circles and practices and things like that, you'll hear a lot of things about we have to kill the ego. And that is partially true, but partially untrue. Because the ego, psychologically speaking, is you. It's your personality. It's everything that makes you you. And if you go with deeper psychological thinking, you have the ego, the super ego, and the id, and we kind of got to differentiate that a little bit. Your ego and the overall mind is a pattern machine that is constantly doing things based on old stuff. That's why you, in a lot of different ways, do the same things every single day. Think of the way that you brush your teeth. Is it different every time? Is it the same every time? I'll bet $1,000,000 it's like the same every time, unless you are consciously thinking, maybe I want to start over here today. Maybe I want to start over here today. Nobody thinks about brushing their teeth like that. The way that you drive is the same every single time. Try to change how you hold your hands on a steering wheel consciously. And the second you start thinking about something else, you're going to move your hands back to where it was. We run most of our thoughts on unconscious patterns because our brains are pattern machines. They also want to conserve energy as much as possible, and learning new things costs more energy, and the brain don't like to do that, right? And then we have the id, where that is your drive for, it's more the instinctual stuff, the lower reptilian brain stuff, you know, food, sleep, protection, you know, pleasure, wink, wink, stuff like that. And these drives are what need to be put under control when you hear hippies and 5D people, shivers, say that they want that you should kill the ego. So I was listening to a spiritual talk this morning, and I'm just going to kind of piggyback off of it. But in scripture stuff, you hear about Ha-Satan, which means the adversary. So if you want to delineate that into the devil and stuff, go back to the roots. Ha-Satan means the adversary. So let's delineate it a little bit more. And, we're going to take one angle of this, so don't come at me about it with a different angle because that's not the topic that I'm focusing on here. But so Yahweh says, don't eat from that tree. And Ha-Satan shows up and says, doesn't it look kind of nice? Maybe you should eat from it, right? So it's like curiosity killed the cat. People don't like rules. Most people don't like rules. They're like, you don't want me to do that? I want to do that. Or people like to push boundaries, right? And some people that push boundaries really suck. But the point is, I bet you can think of a bunch of different situations where somebody told you no and you went and did it anyway, or you question why no. Maybe there's some things where you say, okay, that's a rule, I'm not going to go there, but there's plenty of things that say, that's a rule, yeah, I'm going to bend it a little bit. How many of you obey the speed limit every single time? Come on, like a 25-mile-an-hour road, you're at least going like 34, right? Admit it. Maybe you're not, but I think you're getting my point. So, the ego in this way, so the superego is like rules, safety. Hey, do this, don't do that. This is safe, this is unsafe. The superego balances the ego of who you are and what you want to do with the id of what you think you need and where you want to go and survive and all this other stuff. The superego is like the law keeper. Anyway, so then we delineated it as ego, superego, and id. But the busy mind is the adversary. Think about it when you're in ritual. How easy is it to stay truly focused in on your spiritual practice and what you're trying to do in ritual? This is why meditation is super important. I have in every single one of my classes, I have stuff on meditation, because regardless of what level you're at and what class of mine you take, meditation is the thing. Check those classes down in the link tree down below. But meditation allows us to slow our minds down, so the ego and the busy mind does not come knocking too loud, and we're able to shut it up. So when you're in ritual and you're doing a spell for what have you, and your brain thinks about maybe the lighting isn't that good, you can quiet it and shut it off. And eventually, when the more that you have these thoughts and the more trained you are with metacognition and your mind, then the more likely these thoughts are to not happen. But everybody has them, even I do, and I've been doing this for like, two decades. Ugh. And you're in ritual. Maybe the lighting's not good. What about this other music? Oh man, I'm getting hungry. I have this stuff I want to do tomorrow. I'm not feeling the best right now. All of those different thoughts that are trying to distract you from what you want to do. You are out and about in a particular situation, whether like you're at a job interview. Oh man, I'm not gonna do good. Did he just look at me funny? All of these things that your busy mind tries to tell you are not safe, and that your busy mind is trying to tell you to think about other than your goal, other than what you're trying to achieve, other than the fact that you can do anything if you work at it, right? Your busy mind wants you to stay safe, which means it doesn't want you to change, which means it doesn't want you to grow. Well, your busy mind sucks for that. So, let me read off this script here a little bit. Our egos are constantly on the lookout for what's next, what we want, what we worry about, and what we need to do. It gets us to complain, to sit down, to give up, and just let go in a bad way. You hear about like just going with the flow of things, and they say that that's letting go. I'm using letting go in a different context here. It's the whole laying back and letting the world run you over. How many people do you know that are stuck in their circumstances and they think they're powerless to change it, right? That's because the busy mind has pointed out all the different reasons why they can't change what they're in the middle of. Like my disability with my right half. I used to think, hey, this is how it is, and it sucks. But when I started to acknowledge it and be patient with it and shut down all of my frustrations with, I can't even hold a cup without my hand spasming and dropping it, guess what? That's not entirely a problem. I can drive with my right hand and my right foot now because I worked at it for so long. So if anybody will tell you that you can do things that you think you can't do, yes, you can. So spiritual practices like meditation and ritual cause us to slow down, plan, and get in touch with the bigger picture. So when we're in ritual and we're saying, hey, this is the goal that I want, we are looking 10 steps ahead rather than, oh, that means I gotta work on this. 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 These are the things that, like, I want this goal, but I don't want to do all these other things. Or I want this goal, but all these other things are going to be hard. See? Busy mind. We need to keep our minds on the goal, and every time our busy mind says, this is uncomfortable, or this is a lot of work, or I don't want to do this thing, then shut up, busy mind. You're not helping. And then, so we're talking about there was the top-down thinking I think I mentioned, right? Where we need to have that top-down thinking. What is your goal, and what do you need to do? Systematize it. Think of what you need to work on, what you need to change, this, that, the other thing, and work on those things one at a time. Because the busy mind likes to do bottom-up thinking. If I am motivated and I say, I want to clean my basement, I'm going to hold on to the idea that I want to clean my basement. And I'm not going to say, wow, this might take several hours. And I'm looking at all this stuff here and thinking about how long it's going to take to clean everything in my basement seems overwhelming. Am I ever going to get it done? No. But if I say, hey, if I work at this, I'm going to get it done. And within 2 hours, it's going to look a hell of a lot better. So I got to start here. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. Because I'm holding that bigger picture. It's not just looking at all the minor details and saying, oh, this sucks. Or when I'm in the middle of doing this or thinking about it, oh, but what about the dishes? and the vacuuming, and the fact that I got to go to work in 4 hours, and the fact that I didn't get a lot of sleep, and the back of my head hurts. Busy, busy, busy mind. Everything that wants to take you away from the goals that you have. So, regardless of the situation that you're in, or whatever you're working towards, meditation is extremely important because you are going to calm your mind. You are going to be able to tell that nagging voice that says the opposite of what you want to pack its bags and leave. And anytime it comes knocking on the door, did you hear the doorbell? I didn't hear the doorbell. Oh, well, guess what? There's nothing there. Or it's like you get a telemarketing call, and rather than picking up and listening to every stupid thought, if you're catching my analogy, you can just hit the volume down button on your phone, and guess what? I'm moving on. So the adversary here, if we look at that story in a more allegorical, mystical sense, is the egoic mind, the selfish mind, the fearful mind, the protective mind. You know, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't leave the shore. You can never travel anywhere on a boat if you don't leave the shore. The shore is comfortability. The water is not only your unconscious mind, symbolically, and your emotions, but you have to travel through that to get anywhere. That's a good analogy. I should have cooked it up a little bit better. But I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here. So, regardless of what you're dealing with, keep your goal in mind and train your mind to not accept any of the adversary, any of the nagging thoughts that tell you no. Of course, are there different situations where that nagging mind is correct with different situations? Yeah, there's probably some things like, hey, no, we don't really have the money. Hey, no, that's unsafe. Or, hey, no, you can't get to that yet. You have to baby steps things. If I want, like, think of it this way. Somebody who's in school, their big goal is the doctorate, right? But applying to a grad school to get a doctorate, you can't do that until you get your bachelor's first. So, no, can't apply over here. You got to apply over here first. So there is a balance in a way between the bottom up and top down thinking. The top down thinking is your overall first picture. And then the bottom up thinking should support that, rather than the bottom up thinking being all the no's and the how this isn't going to work and all the other stuff that you have to do. All of those negative, nasty thoughts that are keeping you away from what you want to do is what you need to defeat. So when we're talking about killing the ego is the thing that says, I don't want to change, or I don't want to do that thing. Well, every day you're going to say that you do want to do that thing, but your ego is going to tell you all the reasons why not. And I don't know about you, but what's that phrase? Like, a divided house can't stand. You have to have your entire mind in alignment. So you need to change the way that you have been thinking and the way that your brain wants to keep you safe. Because change doesn't happen inside of your comfort zone. And the ego wants to keep you in that comfort zone. All right, so a little bit of psychological stuff, a little bit of motivational stuff, but all of this stuff is relevant when it comes to spiritual growth, magical practice, and all that good stuff. Because magic is not just about stepping up at an altar, lighting some candles, doing some things, and then your entire new thing that you want falls out of the sky. This is all about acting in accord, and like attracts like, as above, so below, as within, so without. The world outside will not change unless we change what is inside, here and here, and arguably everywhere else. All right. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this one. Drop any of your thoughts in the comments. Let me know any videos that you want me to talk about, any topics you want me to talk about that I may not have touched yet in my plethora of videos that I've had for 11 years now, I think. Anyways, I'll catch you guys next time. Good hunting.